Hi, guys, and welcome to another episode of Military Spouse to Millionaire. This episode is extremely impromptu. I am literally sitting on my bed in my bedroom, not really like podcast ready as I normally am. But some things keep happening with sellers that I really just need to vent about, talk about, educate about. So I really just grabbed my phone, which may die while I record this, and my little tripod, and we're just going to talk about a few things. And what I want to talk about is open houses and why they are absolutely bullshit. Don't get me wrong, I do hold open houses for all of my listings the first weekend that they're on the market because they're, new, hot, exciting listings. And we do want to do at least one open house when you're a new listing. But if you're a seller out there and you are harassing your agent, even if I'm not your agent, if you're a seller and you're wanting your agent to hold open house every weekend, you are wasting your time. Open houses are largely bullshit. And the reason I say that is because an open house, in a nutshell, is basically just allowing the unqualified masses to come in and look at your home. There is no qualification or requirement upfront to vet or screen or check the people that are coming to an open house. Is everybody who comes to an open house a nosy neighbor or a looky-loo, or honest to God, people on vacation come to Hawaii open houses? No. Are there actual real interested buyers that come to open houses? Yes, absolutely. But having or not having an open house every single weekend is not going to be what makes or breaks a buyer purchasing your home. And I know and I understand that selling a home feels very different than buying a home. So you're buying a home, there's like a lot going on, you're excited, you're, all these things, you're like always doing something. Selling a home, you pretty much do all the work up front, getting your house ready for photos, ready for showings, and then it goes on the market and you largely are just chill, right? You're like, what's going on? And I think the desire to have an open house is a way for a seller to feel like something is happening to sell my house. But in reality, if a qualified buyer wants to see your house, not having an open house is not going to stop them. They are going to be working with a real estate agent. That agent is going to request a private showing, which quite frankly, a lot of buyers prefer, because then they are just in the home with their agent. They can sit, they can really take in the property, they can look at everything at their own time and speed. Whereas an open house, you kind of feel the need to sort of get in and get out because there might be other families looking. There's the listing agent or sitting agent is there kind of like watching what you're doing. A lot of people prefer a private showing to an open house. And a lot of times buyers who come to open houses will also then request a private showing to have that additional time. Some agents will also, so I think this like mindset that sellers have of like, I need to have an open house is perpetuated by us as agents. And I'm just going to pull back the curtain and let you know right now, guys, if you're working with an agent and they are adamantly like, we're going to have an open house every weekend, one of two things is happening, or maybe both things are happening, in my opinion. One, they are wanting to have an open house every weekend because guess what, guys? Guess what happens if you Google, hey Siri, does having an open house every weekend sell a property faster? Siri's answer includes the statement that listing agents will hold open houses in an attempt to secure unrepresented buyers, which in a nutshell means that me as a listing agent, If I'm wanting to try and secure more buyers for myself, I can have open houses every single weekend at my listings, and buyers who come through the open houses that aren't represented by an agent, I can try to scoop them up and secure them as clients of mine. I am not really in the business of operating that way. I don't need to get buyers from my sellers' open houses. I have enough fucking buyers. I do not need to go about getting business in that way. Some agents will have open houses on their listings even once they're in contract, which is crazy to me. The home is in contract. You've achieved your goal as a listing agent. The home is in escrow. They might tell you that they're trying to secure you a backup offer, which to some degree may be true, but also normally in this market, once a home is in contract, buyers aren't submitting backup offers. It's not 2021. They are having open houses and kicking you out of your house for 3 hours every Sunday so they can attempt to secure more business for themselves. And that's just the black and white of it. Another reason, the second reason that I think agents kind of bolster this, like, I'm going to have an open house every weekend, is because they try to have it on their list of things like, I'm such a good agent, I'm going to sell your house by having open houses every weekend. They try to make it this big value add for themselves as an agent, when honestly, in my professional opinion, it's bullshit. And I can say categorically it's bullshit because I've been an agent for 8 years. I do a ton of volume. I probably have 13 active listings right now. And early on in my career, I was that agent. I was like, I am going to be at your house every Sunday from 2 to 5. We're going to have an open house. And over my time of doing this, I'm like, wait, the properties that I'm having open houses for every weekend versus the ones that I'm just doing one open house for, there's not a difference. They're not selling faster. They're not getting more activity. There's just a lot of nosy neighbors and looky-loos. That's how I know people on vacation come to Hawaii and sometimes come to open houses. You guys, that is not the demographic that we're looking for. That is not the pool of people who are going to be putting in offers on your home. So I just really, really, really want to sort of bust this myth, or at least give sellers the information to like get out of that mindset that having an open house every weekend is going to somehow sell your house faster. You guys, average days on market right now for houses, townhouses, single family homes, easily 45 to 60 days, which is fine. Like, don't let that freak you out. Don't panic, because the reason I meet with people 4 to 6 months before they leave this island is so we can backwards plan for that. And so we can have your house on the market with enough lead time to still send you off the island with a check and not a Hawaii mortgage payment. But you need to know that as a seller. And I cover this in all of my listing appointments with sellers, and without fail, it's like they don't hear this part of the presentation when we go live on the market. I tell people up front, look, we're having one open house. Ultimately, I work for you as a seller. If you're telling me you want to have an open house every weekend, great. I have an entire fucking staff of people that I pay $100 an hour. So $300 for an open house that I will gladly have them sit at your open house, because in the grand scheme of a real estate commission that is thousands and thousands of dollars, me paying someone $300, $600, $900 for an open house to make sure I have a happy client, worth it. And also keep in mind, sellers, I want you to think about this. I don't make a penny. I make no money unless I actually sell your house. I have no ulterior motive to not do everything possible to sell your home. If open houses sold your home faster, I would have one every day. There's no reason for me as an agent to say this is ineffective, except for trying to manage your expectation as a seller. Because what's going to happen is we're going to have an open house every Sunday. You're not going to get any other offers, and then you're really going to put yourself into a tailspin. I was talking to a seller of mine the other day, as a matter of fact. They have neighbors who are also selling their home. Their neighbors have had open houses every single weekend. Their neighbor's house has been on the market more than 60 days. So that is 2-ish months, which is 8-ish open houses, and their house was still on the market. And my clients were wanting to have more open houses. And I said, absolutely. I'm never going to tell you no. If you want open houses, we'll have open houses. But I am going to be realistic and manage the expectation up front and throughout the process of selling that an open house is not a magic ticket to get an offer or to secure a buyer, which is what most people think and what a lot of agents make it out to be. So my response to my seller was, absolutely, we'll have another open house. We had another open house. Oh, say hi to Panda in the background. We had another open house. One fucking person came. One person came to this open house that these sellers were like adamant that was going to be, the way to go. And I said to them, you guys, if having open houses was the golden ticket to getting offers, to getting actual qualified buyers to see your home, tell me why your neighbor has had 8 of them and is still on the market. They're not any closer to getting an offer than you are. And just for reference, my transaction, my listing for my client went into escrow less than 40 days on the market, only having 2 open houses, the one that I always have and the extra one that they asked for. Neither of them produced the buyer for the property. So I am going to start using this podcast as a tool to send to my sellers when they get all in a tizzy about selling their homes. Sellers just need to understand that selling a home is a more passive experience than buying a home. Things are going on behind the scenes. If we get showing requests, we let you know right away. But please, please, please just realize and understand that having an open house is not likely to get you a buyer any faster. And also, please know that in our market right now, like I said earlier, it is normal to be on the market, a month and a half, 2 months, and it is slow. And that doesn't mean your home isn't going to sell. You should not get yourself, worked up about that. And of course, you can text me every day. You can text me every single day and be like, Kendra, is there anything going on? I'm not waiting for that text before I tell you something. If there is something for me to convey to you, I promise I am absolutely going to be conveying it. Always, always, always feel free to check in. But if you're on the market 3-4 weeks and activity has been slow, I'm going to approach you and I'm going to say, hey, especially if you're a client who listed maybe slightly higher than I had originally recommended, which is, again, fine. I work for you. I will list your home for whatever you want. But if I show you the data and I say, hey, I think we should list at this price for these reasons, and you say to me, can we try like $5,000 or $10,000 higher? I'm going to say, okay, I work for you. But if we do that, and then we're on the market for 30 days and we've had no showing requests, it is my job to sort of revisit that information, those statistics, and counsel you and advise you. Because I don't want your house just sitting with no activity. And if we're not getting any activity whatsoever, that means people are looking at your house online and for some reason immediately disqualifying it. They're not even wanting to see it. And that is scarier to me, or more potentially problematic to me, than having a slow open house or not having an open house every weekend. If we're on the market for a month, which is kind of like the halfway point for the average days on market roughly, and we're not getting any activity at all, you're damn right. You're going to get some communication from me that says, hey, maybe in a week, like the clients I messaged this morning, I said, hey, we've been on the market 2 weeks. There's been no showing activity. Their response to me was, we want to have another open house. And I'm like, okay, we're going to have another open house. And we'll see how that goes. And if it's still slow, then I'm going to need to send them this podcast episode and say, hey guys, it's not the fact that we did or did not have an open house. I also took the time to look up the other 4 properties in their neighborhood that are for sale, all priced less than theirs, because they did price a little higher than I had recommended. None of them are having open houses either. So this is not just like a me specific thing. That is maybe one exception to policy. If I look up a property or if I look up a neighborhood and there's a lot of new listings and those listings are having open houses and there are multiple open houses in a neighborhood, I do think that that is sort of an exception to the rule where strategically and on a case-by-case scenario, it might be advantageous to have an open house because you will just get some of that like bleed over. But again, even that bleed over might be looky-loos and nosy neighbors and, not qualified individuals. So that is kind of a gray area where, if I'm checking the market and I'm like, hey, there are 3 other houses in your neighborhood, they're all having open houses. Let's have one too, just to see if we get any extra people coming over. But as a whole, as a general rule, just keep that in your mind and know that we as agents, whether it's me as an agent, whether it's any of my fellow agents, again, and I hate to bring it down to like pay or compensation, but we work very hard as agents and we do all the work up front for our jobs and we don't ever get paid or compensated for our time until the end, right? Until we're successful, until the job has been completed, which is fine. But when I'm pricing a home, when I'm talking about strategy, when I'm laying out my method, all of the things that I do as an agent obviously are there to serve my clients and to make it a successful, stress-free process. But it is also so I can make a living for my family. And so I am not going to do anything that is a detriment to my clients or is a detriment to myself and my livelihood and my ability to provide for my family. So instead of prioritizing, let's having an open house every single weekend that I'm paying people for, which again, I'm glad to do because $1,000 in the grand scheme of a $20,000 commission is nothing. Not to mention it gives my agents the ability to potentially find buyers of their own. But honestly, as a business owner, I would rather prioritize my business dollars into paying my business manager, paying my social media team, boosting the posts for your listing when I advertise on social media, when I work with the title company to send out email blasts. If I'm going to pay for some degree of something for these open or for these listings, I don't want to pay for open houses because that's not what's likely to get you a buyer. People ask me all the time why I do so many dual agencies. So a dual agency is obviously when I'm the buyer's agent and the seller's agent. The reason I do so many dual agencies, probably about 1/4 of all transactions that I do in a year, I'm a dual agent for. The reason for that is because I am extremely aggressive at marketing and advertising. I would rather put my dollars, like if I'm going to spend $1,000 per listing, either paying someone for an open house or marketing and advertising the property, I every fucking day am going to pick to market and advertise your property on social media, boosting your posts, highlighting your ads, like working with the title company to send out email blasts. That's where I'm going to put my money for your listing, in addition to paying for all of my clients' listing photos, because I do have extremely high standards for the videography and the photography that goes into my listings, because I do feel like that's a service to the client. I also feel like it represents my brand. So I pay for every single listing that I have. The 11 or 12 listings that I have right now, it's like $600 to $700 a pop per listing for listing videography and photography. I pay for that. If I don't sell your house, I don't get recouped for that. If I don't sell your house, I don't get recouped for the people that I'm paying to sit the open house. I don't get recouped for the marketing and advertising and boosted posts and highlight reels and all the shit that I pay for. My business manager, my social media team, I pay for those people on a monthly basis. If I'm not selling your house, I'm not getting reimbursed for any of that. No one has a more vested interest in selling your house than I do, because as an agent, I bear the cost of so much upfront to make sure that you have a successful and hopefully relatively stress-free experience. So please just know there is a method to my madness. I have done this a very long time. And the people who are successful at this, whether you're a buyer or a seller, they just, give me the grace of a Jesus take the wheel moment. They say, Kendra, you got this. We trust you. Just trust the process. I am 100% invested in selling your home. If you're a buyer, I'm 100% invested in helping you buy a home. No one is more invested in that than me, because I put so much energy, time, dollars, my staff into these endeavors. I'm not going to tell you to not have an open house every weekend for any other reason other than it's not beneficial, because we're not getting the qualified demographic. If someone wants to see your house and they are actually a legitimate buyer, they're going to have an agent. They're going to be pre-approved. Those are the people. That's the cream that we want coming into your home. If I'm going to inconvenience you to get your kids, get your pets, get yourselves, get the house ready, if I'm going to inconvenience you for a showing, I'm not going to kick you out of your house for 3 hours every Sunday. I'm going to make sure that the people who are coming through are actually the people that can offer on your home. So again, I am sorry this was a little bit of a tangent. I have been having this conversation with my sellers a lot, and I don't mean it to come off overly aggressive, but sellers need to just breathe. Your house will sell. Yes, it is not 2021 anymore. A lot of my sellers bought in 2021 when the market was, batshit crazy. And there's a lot of reminders that I'm giving people that this market is still good. This market is still strong, but it's a lot more neutral and normal of a market. It is not the batshit craziness of 2021 when they bought. And so it's just a different experience. So keep that in mind too. Thanks always, guys. Sorry for I'm just in jeans and a white t-shirt. I am literally sitting on my bed. I just really, really, really felt very motivated to knock this out. And I have owed you a podcast episode. Fun fact, I'm busy, guys. It's PCS season. I think in the month of April alone, I have 15 or 16 closings. I had 13 or 14 closings last month. I already have transactions in escrow for May and for June. All these listings that I just mentioned during the podcast, and I'm not complaining about that whatsoever. Interacting with all of you, the face-to-face stuff. I had somebody meet me the other day for the first time, and she was so excited. She was like, "Oh my God, I found you on TikTok. I saw you on TikTok, and now you're actually here in person. I didn't think you would actually be the one showing us houses, and it blew me away." So, side note for my buyers out there, whether you find me from this podcast, from my Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, I do have a staff of people. I have an amazing support team that allows me to do, the things that I love to do, which is go to listing appointments, show houses, make content for you guys. And they're there to help for sure. And you'll meet a lot of them along the way. But you are going to meet me in person. I'm going to be the person showing you the homes. I'm going to be advising you on your offers. It's going to be me. So don't be surprised or taken off guard when you do meet me day one of house hunting. That's literally one of my favorite things. So thanks for letting me vent. And as always, follow, subscribe. I wouldn't have any of this if it weren't for all of you. Bye, guys.